Hello and welcome. This is Wise Woman Television with Errity Green, and this is Spiritual Truth Tea. So today's special episode, where I talk about current events and offer a more spiritual perspective, is on to mask or not to mask. And as many of you know, if you are on social media, you have encountered the debate regarding masks. And there are a lot of heated and very tense opinions and discussions going on and being shared, a lot of people being triggered, and endless debate and conversation. While we're here, I want to first ask that you like and subscribe. Liking ensures that other people see this video on YouTube, and subscribing ensures your own commitment to yourself so that every single time a notification comes up for one of these videos, you can come on and you can experience more spiritual or personal growth for yourself. It gets you there. It gives you that starting point to continue your journey. All right, so back to mask or not to mask. And what this comes down to for me when I meditated on this topic, and I even learned some things within myself as I went on this journey of contemplation and meditation, and it comes down to either taking the spiritual perspective or position of compassion, or taking the spiritual position and perspective of sovereignty. And of course, both of these are spiritual ideologies or perspectives. To be a sovereign being, to be free, detached, independent-minded, free-thinking, progressive, answering only to oneself, self-trust, ultimate freedom, inner freedom, okay? That's what sovereignty represents. And you'll find, just like anything else on this planet, there's a masculine polarity being sovereignty, and the feminine polarity being compassion. So that's the other perspective. Compassion representing other, representing oneness, representing all that is, representing the universality of humanity, of this experience of being human, of the human condition, even of pain and suffering. This recognition, understanding. So here we are with these two energies and these two possible perspectives. And really, if we take the position of sovereignty, what does that suggest? It suggests that we don't mask. It says, hey, I'm going to take care of me. You can take care of you. And if you wear your mask, you are safe and you don't have to worry about me wearing a mask. That's what sovereignty says in many cases. Sovereignty would suggest that self answers to self and trusts self and believes that what self does is serving others. Okay, so that's what sovereignty would suggest. Compassion, on the other hand, would suggest that we set self aside or value self as equally to other, and we wear the mask in service to all. Okay, so we have both of these perspectives. Both are equally valid. Neither are wrong. So then I ask myself, okay, so which one do we choose, to mask or not to mask, right? Because sovereignty, not always, but in many cases would suggest that we don't have to mask if we don't believe it to be true. Some people don't believe in the virus. Some people don't believe that masks protect us from the virus, so on and so forth, right? We've heard it all, so I'm not going to debate. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here with Spiritual Truth Tea to offer a different, grander, more spiritual perspective. Those who are more compassion-based, compassion would suggest that we wear the mask, because it might save someone, it might rescue someone, and that one life saved is worth it. So which one is right? Of course, there is no right and wrong, but in the earthly experience, again, there's always those polarities, masculine, feminine, light and dark, compassion and sovereignty. So both are true. Neither one is right and neither one is wrong. But what came to me was this: we choose compassion until or unless we are threatened, our own sovereignty, our own life force becomes threatened or at risk. So unless or until there is a threat or risk of harm to ourselves, we choose compassion. So compassion is the default perspective, the default response until or unless we are threatened in some way, our own health, our own life, our own sacred life force. So in most cases, the spiritual perspective would suggest, which was even surprising for me, that we would wear a mask. So what that means, though, is that still not everyone has to wear a mask. Not everyone must wear a mask. I am not here to offer that. I'm here to offer the spiritual perspective, and you do with it as you will or should. This is simply a place for you to learn, grow, evolve your own perspective, and for us to share perspectives, and then you do with what you learn here what you will. So with compassion, we would wear a mask unless we, as an example, have a health condition or something else that would risk us and our own lives and our own life force. And if we truly believe that the masks are harming us, or that there is scientific evidence that suggests, and there are some cases that have suggested, that they can be harmful, then it would be the most spiritual choice to choose not to wear a mask. So we always choose compassion as we can, if we can, every time, until or unless we are somehow put at risk. So the answer is to wear a mask unless it meets that exception. I also, while we're here, want to talk a little bit about discernment and judgment, because these are two very different things, because this supports our ability to be able to connect and exchange ideas like this, or even have these kinds of debates and conversations. Discernment is when we are observing. We are simply observing. That's it. We are observing everything as is. Discernment. Boom. That's what it is, as is. Judgment is when we take a right or wrong evaluation and we place it over what we are seeing in front of us. That's judgment. So we can have an observation and we can make a judgment. The judgment is an evaluation. So I suggest, as we move through this debacle and this debate and this piece of the pandemic and everything that's happening and everything that will continue to happen as the world changes and we move through these shifts to purge and release a lot of this old stuff to make way for the new, that we guide and support ourselves to remain centered in discernment and observation, where we are centered, where we are in neutrality, where we are in a place of acceptance, and we are allowing people to be as they are and to be sovereign beings, and allowing ourselves to be sovereign beings. That will support us to be in a compassionate space. That'll support compassion to come forth very naturally. When we step into judgment and we've now placed a veil of right and wrong over our observation of the world based on our own history and conditioning and belief systems, that's where we start preventing ourselves from being able to feel compassion, to being able to share compassion or embody compassion or make compassionate choices. So take a look and explore all the times that you find yourself observing and or judging, and see how you might be able to remove that veil of judgment, remove that evaluation from your observation. Just look at what's right before you and see if something changes in that place, because I don't want to suggest for you what's going to happen. I want you to avail yourself to that situation, that exploration, and simply see what unfolds from there. All of that to say, to mask or not to mask, the spiritual perspective says that we have both sovereignty as a choice and compassion. Both of these exist on this planet in the plane of duality of both light and dark, masculine and feminine. Both are valid responses. What you choose is right for you. What you believe to be true is true for you. This video is not going to tell you whether you personally should or should not wear a mask. What I'm here to do is share with you so you can gain context, so you can fully understand where your perspective is coming from. And then you get to decide from here if you decide to choose a compassionate response or a more sovereign response. And neither is right or wrong. When I sat with it, and I even learned something for myself today, I was again shared what came forth for me was that we choose compassion until or unless it becomes a harm to our own life. And if something is not harming our own life, we choose compassion. Thus, it is a more spiritual choice if you align with that. And if you identify as being a spiritual being, to choose compassion unless the mask in this case would be harmful to you or to your life force. With that, I thank you. I appreciate your company, and I look forward to seeing you next week or soon hereafter.